So it's being reported that Terence Crawford and Kell Brook are nearing close to fighting and, trying to get that over the line. They said in the USA, but I heard reports that, Eddie Hearn wouldn't mind it in the UK. What are your thoughts on Terence Crawford, Kell Brook, 147?
I think it's a good fight. Some people are complaining about it, but Brook is a top welterweight or was. So
Is
I
he?
get he was. I'll give him that. He was the top welterweight. Um, but people are complaining about it and shit. I would like to see TC against someone like you guys or Porter or even Keith Thurman. Hell, with the way that Keith been talking, but I'll take Brook for sure. I'll take Brook over even the Gary Russell Jr. fight. I'd like to see Kell Brook because at least it's someone around his weight class who's accomplished things. Um, Granted, it's been a while, but I don't mind a Kell Brook matchup. And as far as it being in the UK, why? Like,
Well, that's just a rumor, so I don't know how much faith to put into that. They got to just get the fight done. It'll probably happen in the US.
I hope so, because
I mean, he's a champion, so I don't know why he would have to travel, especially if there's no crowd. There's no real incentive to have the
yeah, what the
champion
fuck?
travel. But my question, here's my thing. Initially, when I was thinking of the fight, I was like, stylistically, it's not a bad fight at all. I'm like, okay, this is cool stylistically. But then I started thinking deeper. That's under the pretense that Kell Brook is the same fighter, and we don't know. Like that's my biggest thing. Like he hasn't fought in 3 years at welterweight. Last fight at welterweight was a loss to Errol Spence. He said and complained, said he can't make weight, so he moved up to 150. He didn't challenge himself and fight top 154 people, you know. He didn't fight Charlo, Jamel. He didn't fight against Erickson Lubin. He didn't fight against Jared Hurd, Lotta, Terrell Goucher, Tony Harrison, Jason Rosario, Julian J. Rock. He didn't fight top guys at 154.
Or even somebody
Or
like
Jorge Cota
Patrick Teixeira.
or
Yeah,
Patrick Texas. That's what I'm saying. So the more I start thinking about it, the more I can kind of understand kind of the feedback because it's a shot in the dark. You have to hope that the fighter can get up for one last hurrah. You know what I'm saying? But based on the evidence, and that's all we can go off of, we just got to take Kell Brook's word that, you know, that he's training hard and in the same shape. He can make weight without any flaws. He can pass all of his Rona 19 tests and everything else. So the more I start
I
thinking, the more I started seeing like because the other thing is he won the Sean Porter fight. I looked it up. That was in 2014, and
damn.
it's the end of 2020. So that's like literally that's his probably his best victory at welterweight, wouldn't you say? At welterweight,
Yeah, and
and that was at
that's gonna
2014.
be 7 years ago.
Yeah, that's 6-7 years ago. So it's like, I mean, that's in my mind. I feel like this is what we're holding Kell Brook to a standard of the fighter that he was circa 2016, 17, 18, or whatever. You
Seven
know,
years ago, I
2014,
was
17.
yeah, 7 years ago I was a sophomore in high school.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like that's in boxing. This is not a movie. You know what I'm saying? Fighters,
Yeah,
unless you're Floyd Mayweather, you don't always get better with age. So what the patterns show you a lot of times tend to be like Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Does it look like he, as time since the Martinez fight around that time, 2014, 13, whatever it was, he's looked like he's gotten worse. You know what I'm saying? He didn't rewind the clock and pull out another Sergio Martinez vintage performance like the 12th round. So I can understand why people feel how they feel about you know what I'm saying, about the Kell Brook fight. The more I started thinking about it, and initially I was like, "Oh, that's cool, stylistic."
yeah. I get people's complaints. For sure. Maybe Bud's team feels like That's why I mean you've kind of hinted at this before. There might be something like flying under the radar that they don't want people to know about, or maybe it's just the fact that maybe TC is not like that's the thing about boxing is that people don't realize that these guys are the top guys for a reason. So y'all like Terence Crawford's skill a lot. I get that. Y'all like how he fights and whatnot. But maybe, just maybe, he's a lot closer in skill to dudes like Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, your Danish Ugas, Danny Garcia, Errol Spence Jr. than y'all realize. And maybe Top Rank and his team don't want y'all to know that because they understand just how dangerous some of these dudes over at PBC are. And I could throw Manny Pacquiao in that equation too because, he beat Keith Thurman. Can you imagine what that would be like if Manny Pacquiao beat Keith and then Keith fought TC, but TC looked, he didn't look as good as Pac or even lost? That would look crazy. So, they're, what they're doing is on purpose, in my opinion, very much on purpose, taking the Kell Brook fight. So I understand people's their grievances, but I am somewhat looking forward to it though. For those who are just uninterested in it completely, I don't blame you. But for someone like me, I'm definitely interested to see what Brook could bring to the table.
My thing is, like I said, I just have to hope Brook is the same. If that's the case and he's training his heart out and stuff like that, then it could be interesting. But
Yeah, I hope his eyes just don't come out
yeah,
of his
that's
head or
his
anything.
both eyes. There's a lot, bro. What is his last good victory? Like honestly, victory, not he did good versus Triple G or he lost and did good in the early rounds with Spence. What is his last good victory? Kell Brook.
Healing after surgery, probably.
No, against an opponent. Who?
I mean,
Because
you
like
said it. Well,
Rabchenkos and fights like that, I don't really consider that like, I don't even know who that is.
I mean, you said it. The Sean Porter fight is probably because
Okay,
he
so his
neutralized
last
Sean.
good victory is 2014, and then Eddie Hearn took him back to the UK and had him doing like kind of cherry pick rematch room type fights until the Golovkin fight, and then he moved up, which no one told him to do. Then he got his eye broke, and then he fought Errol.
Hearn low key like botched. You know what? Like, nah, I'll say it. Like that fight might have botched his career. To be honest,
Might have.
because I don't want to say might have because I don't want to take credit away from Errol Spence Jr. Because some people feel like
No,
if
that's not
he
taking
didn't fight,
credit. His eye was bashed up.
yeah, but some people feel like some people make the claim that if Brook didn't fight Triple G, he would have beat Spence. I
I
wouldn't
mean,
go
we
that
can't
far.
tell. We
Yeah,
can't
you know what I'm saying?
That's a
So
big question mark.
that was a stupid decision on Eddie Hearn and Matchroom's part.
That was real
Like,
stupid.
why did he even think? I get that Kell Brook is a big welterweight, but why would you even think of that?
I mean, you can't. The weight classes exist for a reason. That's stupid. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter how skilled you are. Like you're not acclimating to the weight class. You're not taking tune ups. You're just going straight up.
You know what I just thought of? Cause I just remembered Kell Brook is a switch hitter, so it'll be interesting to see two switch hitters kind of play off each other like that in the ring.
I
Cause
just hope Kell Brook doesn't show up for like and it look washed. Cause like he said after Errol Spence beat him that he couldn't make welterweight no more. That's not
yeah, I
my
remember
he
that,
said that.
and he
He said
called
I could
Spence
make
out, telling him come up to 154.
exactly. And then now all of a sudden he can make welterweight again. So when fighters, I'm being real. When fighters show me stuff like that, it makes me wonder if they're cashing out. You know what I'm saying? Like one last big paycheck. I'm gonna try my best. I'm not saying Kell Brook is not gonna try to win, but it's a dangerous proposition to me because he said he could only fight Errol Spence in a rematch at 154, and he
Money
couldn't make
talks.
welterweight. And then now all of a sudden you can make 147. So what is that process? If you couldn't make welterweight easily 2017, 3 years later, he's already said he struggled with depression and drinking. Who knows what his off-season weights have been for the last 3-4 years? You know what I mean? And then now you might deplete yourself trying to make weight that you already are kind of big for. And your
Yeah,
last
he
fight
is. Yeah,
at
he is big.
150. 154 or whatever it was. So I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I'm kind of turned off. if Kell Brook shows up and comes correct, then stylistically it'll be interesting. But the other issue I have is Team Crawford. They went on this campaign saying they only wanted champions. They only wanted Pacquiao's and they only wanted Keith Thurman. I mean, excuse me, they only wanted Spence and they wanted Pacquiao. And I told you that wasn't realistic. And they said discounted guys like Keith Thurman said he don't have a belt. Sean Porter don't have a belt. Kell Brook don't have a belt. So what are we talking about?
I knew you was gonna say something like that at this point. And
does Kell Brook have a belt?
No, and this is why I was saying I understand people's grievances because he has better options for opponents that don't have a belt right now. Keith Thurman, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. No, not Danny Garcia. I'm tripping. Well, Danny Garcia don't have a belt, but he's locked in with Spence. Keith Thurman, Sean Porter,
paint themselves into a corner. That's my biggest thing. If Team Crawford didn't say those things, then they wouldn't necessarily be held to that standard. But if you say you don't want to fight Ugas because he ain't got a belt, Sean Porter because he ain't got a belt, Keith Thurman because he ain't got a belt, then how on earth are you fighting Keith Thurman or Kell Brook, excuse me? And the other thing is Ugas don't have damaged orbitals and eye sockets. Sean Porter doesn't have damaged orbital eye sockets. Sean Porter has fought actively. He fought last year in September. He just fought against Formella, looked the same.
They're not fighting Sean after how he looked against
Kell Brook. He's been very spotty in the last couple of years with his activity. Like he didn't fight all of like 2019, I think it was. So he had his after the Arrow, he took some time off. Fought in 2018. Second fight with Michael Zarafa, he looked bad. He fought Rabchenko and then Michael Zarafa. Then he took all of 2019 off, and then he just fought in 2020 against Mark DeLuca. So, he had a whole year. Like Keith Thurman, a get back year. What's the difference? Keith don't got a belt, Kell don't got a belt. But what Keith Thurman don't have is 2 damaged eye sockets. And he's been more active.
And he hasn't moved up a weight class. That's the thing.
Who looks fresher, Keith Thurman or Kell Brook?
All of them. Keith,
exactly.
Keith, Danis, and Sean all look fresher than Kell Brook.
That's what I'm saying.
And to be real with you, I would actually not.
Ray Robinson fresher.
I would not. I forgot about him.
He fought Josh Kelly and Mean Machine.
He made Josh Kelly look like shit.
And he made Mean Machine look like shit. They said it was a draw, but watch that fight. Have you seen it before?
Bro, they gotta stop. Nah, they gotta stop robbing Ray Robinson though, because
that's why they call him Ray Robinson, because they Robinson bars.
Bro, for real, he made Josh Kelly look bad. But
he be having them weird fights like that, like Badu Jack, where he just don't get the nod. So
I wouldn't. To be real with you, like if TC fought you guys, I don't know if I would pick Terence Crawford in that fight. Just being straight up. Against,
I like you guys, but damn.
I'm being for real, bro. I don't know if I pick
you guys over him.
I don't know. I just don't know if
you guys is nice with it. I thought he beat Sean Porter. He dropped him.
And he's big as hell too. You guys is big for that weight class also. You guys might be bigger than Spence, I think. No. I think Errol's. Yeah. Because I've stood next to you guys. But he's not small. For 147.
I just feel like, and see, this is the other thing with Team Crawford. I'm just being real. We got to be real in this boxing game. It's nothing, no, I have nothing against anybody. But they did a lot of Pacquiao, like, clout chasing. And I told you guys on my channel that I didn't see that fight happening. They were like, oh, they could fight in Qatar, Dubai, and all this stuff. And I don't know if Team Crawford is being sold like pipe dreams or lies or whatever, but it didn't look like you didn't fight Pacquiao when he was with Top Rank. Now he's not with Top Rank. He just signed with the UFC management company, the Audi dude, and we're in a pandemic where there's no crowd. Did you really think that Pacquiao and Crawford were going to fight this year? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, to be fair though, because the Pacquiao Crawford situation when he was at Top Rank isn't Team Crawford's fault. I know that for
Pacquiao ducked him.
Yeah, I know for a fact that it wasn't Crawford's fault. But
No, I get that,
now
but what I'm saying is it
it's
doesn't
even less
matter.
likely now. Yeah,
Yeah, that's my whole point. Whoever's fault it was or whatever, the bottom line is Crawford didn't get that opportunity to fight Pacquiao.
when
So
he was
now,
on the label with you.
yeah,
So
yeah. So now it becomes that's like Jamel Herring was with PBC and now he's with Top Rank. So if Jamel Herring wanted to fight, let's say Gervonta Davis, it would probably be easier when Jamel Herring was with PBC as opposed to him going to Top Rank in ESPN, having a different setup, then trying to fight Gervonta Davis. You see what I'm saying? Because it's easier to facilitate. I mean, that's the whole sides of the street. If I really believe if Spence and Crawford were on the same side of the street, that'd be an easier fight to make. Wilder told Dillian White, sign to PBC since you're a free agent, and I'll fight you. Beat Luis Ortiz and I'll fight you. It makes it so much easier. So
yeah, honestly, and that's the thing. People keep saying Spence was trying to duck Crawford. Like how, like blatant ducking to me. Like it's very obvious to me what Al Heyman's moves are. You know what I'm saying? Like he is trying to solidify Spence as the A side. I mean, he is at this point. But what's wrong with clearing your side of the street first? And for people that's talking about they're trying to age Crawford out, Terrence is only 2 years older than Errol. So, and they both feel like they're gonna fight either next year or 2022, whatever. But
that
Errol,
people with that argument, I got to jump in. People with that argument, it doesn't make sense for this. Errol Spence is just got in an accident, true or false?
true, yeah,
And who's he fighting next?
Danny Garcia
Who's a top 5, top 6, two-time, two-division champion or whatever he
coming
is.
off two good performances.
Yeah, stopped a guy like Granados who no one could stop.
Not even Sean
Amir
Porter.
Imam, Sean Porter, Amir Imam, none of them stopped. Broner didn't stop Granados, but Danny did. And Errol's coming off an accident like that. So using that logic from, the fans that are saying that, Errol Spence, what did you just say that the fans said about Errol Spence?
That some people are trying to claim that they're planning to age Crawford out.
That's what, yeah. To age him out, how's it aging him out if Errol Spence is doing the heavier lifting? Do you see what I'm saying? What puts more mileage on you in terms of age? Fighting tougher competition or just years going by? You see what I'm saying? The tougher fights, that's going to age you quicker. Like you look at guys who, like, let's say DeMarcus Corley or somebody. He fought everyone. He fought Ruslan Provodnikov. He fought Floyd. He fought Cotto. He fought Maidana. He fought everybody. You see what I'm saying? So that puts years on you. That's why you see guys with a bunch of losses and stuff like that. So Errol Spence has had the tougher schedule at welterweight. You know what I mean? So I
Let's
don't
say the
know.
fight could have happened next. Something I forgot about. Terence Crawford said he didn't want to fight Errol coming off the accident because if he beat him, he wouldn't have gotten full credit. So the
Yep.
shit wouldn't have happened next anyway. So there's none of that. I don't hear none of this shit about PBC ducking Crawford anymore. Cause
I think the MO is kind of for like Top Rank or Team Crawford, the blame game. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Al Heyman's the cancer. Oh, it's the PBC guys. We want the fights because there's been a lot of changing of statements that have been said. Bob Arum at one point he literally said the only PBC guy that we want for Crawford is Errol Spence. Those are Bob Arum's words. He said we only want Errol Spence. And then someone said, "What about good fights with Danny Garcia and Sean Porter?" He said, "Oh, I don't care about them." He said, "We're not worried about those. Those guys aren't on Crawford's level or something to this effect."
that's what I was
So
just
how's
gonna
he fighting
say.
Kell Brook?
Do y'all really think? And for those, I'm gonna ask y'all this question. Y'all can write it in the comments. Y'all's answer. Some people may or may not agree with me or may find this question weird, but now something in life that's been told to me is you don't act super thirsty towards females if you're trying to get at them, because if you do, a lot of times it seems like you got an ulterior motive. Now Crawford and his team, whatever, they've been trying super hard for that Spence fight, many fights, so they claim, whatever the hell. Let me ask y'all a question. If Terence Crawford fought Errol Spence Jr. and won, beat him, right? Do y'all do y'all really honestly truthfully think, and this is just a question, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything. Do y'all really honestly truthfully think that he would be fighting Sean Porter, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Ugas, you know, Ray Robinson after he fought Errol, Manny Pacquiao, etc.? Like that's just something to think about. Do y'all really think he'd be fighting those dudes like that after he fought and unified with Errol Spence? So
I really think that that's what part of the game is like the kind of clout chase, and it's like, hey, we can't give you this fight, so we just want to win the battle of public opinion, and we want the public to feel on our side, like feel like we tried, like, hey, we tried to make this, it's like a lot of political, like politicians, like almost like a campaign, you know, we're not going to give you this fight, but as long as you guys feel we were in the right or we tried to make the fight, then that's good. You know what I mean? Rather than let's like really crunch numbers and try to make these fights. You know what I mean?
and it sucks too, because sometimes in history,
Or-
stuff gets muddied around. Like, a lot of people say, oh, Floyd fought Shane when he was old. Well, Floyd was ready to fight Shane, but Shane said some shit about him having a toothache or something. So, I mean, what do you want Floyd to do at that point? The same thing with the Manny Pacquiao fight. He didn't want to do something that Floyd asked him to do. And then,
Or out. He didn't want to take the drug test. Just
so
say that.
yeah, like, well, yeah, he didn't want to take the drug test. So, and in history, if people will say, oh, well, Floyd didn't do this because, or he didn't fight this guy until later, explain why. You know what I'm saying? Like, if, say, they do get older and then Errol and TC do fight, are they going to say, oh, Errol edged Crawford out? Or are they going to be like, well, Crawford didn't want to handle some of the other dudes to possibly, guarantee that spot? Like, he could have taken care of Danny Garcia. Like, if they saw that Danny Garcia was on the radar next, why didn't Top Rank maybe send him a counter offer or something, counter negotiate? I don't fucking know.
I
Do
feel
something with
like
Al.
I feel like basically the bottom line is when it's all written, people are gonna know you from your body of work. Like everybody knows Malcolm X or Muhammad Ali based on what they actually accomplished and what they did, what they brought to the culture, what they brought to the world. Nobody cares about like an idea you have in your head or something you didn't execute upon. You know what I mean? So for Crawford or anybody, time's ticking and it's not on your side. You got to rack up the branded big name fights for whatever reason. And I feel like Crawford he has to grab the bull by the horns and communicate that to his team that, yo, I need these big fight. Gary Russell, because it's no longer looking like quite the boogeyman. Crawford is very skilled, very, very skilled. But Gary Russell's calling him out. Ray Robinson said he don't want to fight no one, called him out. Keith Thurman called him out. Instead of laughing at Keith Thurman's number and saying, oh, he wants $10 million, negotiate. Go back and forth.
Is that even true though? Didn't they debunk the $10 million shit?
I don't know. I don't care. He's not fighting Keith Thurman next. They're talking about Kell Brook, so it doesn't even matter. But my point remains: 10 million, whatever. What is he supposed to say? Oh, I'll do it for $600 and some Kool-Aid. Like, what is he? Of course, he's gonna shoot high. It's up to your team and your promotion to, negotiate and like look at Kell Brook. They offered him 1.5. Now they're saying it's 2 million. Where this other 500,000 come from? Look at Teofimo and Loma. There were snags in the negotiating, and Teofimo was like, "Nah, I want more money." Somebody pulled some strings and made that happen. That's negotiating. So I think they have to do that because
Yeah, it reminds me of the Monique situation that happened on Netflix. Like, I think
oh
last
yeah,
year she was tripping about how
culture
much they
over
offered
time.
her. Yeah, like, you always like, this is a business for a reason. Like, just negotiate. You didn't have to go to the media and say all this bullshit. This
I
could have
mean,
all been.
shout out to Joe Budden. He just left Spotify for the same reason. Joe Budden was basically saying that the Spotify, they try to buy him a Rolex and stuff, and he's like, we know how much energy and viewership our numbers on the analytics be under the dashboard that we're contributing to Spotify, and you're not trying to pay like you weigh. And I think fighters are getting smarter too. You see Ryan Garcia, he's like, I'm Ryan Garcia. I got millions of followers. You got to start accounting for some of this stuff. But
Yeah, fighters are getting smarter, and that pisses people off. A lot of people, a lot of these old school dudes, especially,
yeah, because you
because
can't
they
chill.
say, yeah, something they gotta realize is a lot of these dudes is real people with real families and real problems. Um,
And
they
real
got
careers. At the end of the day, when you're a vegetable and you don't have your faculties from boxing, who's going to take care of you?
there's no amount of money that can give that back. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
So you got to get in and get out and
Some
get.
chick on Twitter was talking about boxing was better when it was ran by the mob, and they was on her head for that. Cause how dare you
I
say
don't
some
make no
shit
sense.
like that? Like do y'all know where the term cab driver comes from? Like boxers back in the day
They have
wasn't
mob have fixed fights and all. Don't get into
exactly.
that because I don't even, bro. I'm not
That shit
even.
was terrible. Like
Yeah, that just sounds ridiculous.
fighters didn't even have enough money to take care of their
I don't even
people,
want
so
to
they
talk
had.
about, bro. That doesn't even. There's no bearing on my channel. It
Yeah,
just
she was tripping.
don't make no sense. But anyway, Crawford, he just got to get the names. He got to get the names, whoever that may be, get those names. And, if his team can't get it, then that's just what it's going to be. It's going to be Mean Machines and Benavidez, Kell Brook, Jeff Horn.
That was a good fight, but I don't want to watch that again, man. Crawford Benavidez too. Like, why?
That's what I'm saying. So it's like that's the last. The PBC fighters are running the gauntlet right now. They in the blood sport Kumite, and they're fighting everybody. I'm lying? Sean Porter, he had to fight Broner at a catchweight because Broner was the bigger name. So he had to crunch down, lose more weight because Broner was the A side. He fought Keith Thurman, who his hard as hell was undefeated at the time. He had to fight, he's calling out Pacquiao, but he had to fight Errol. People said he was going to get steamrolled. That didn't happen.
Real quick, you know what's funny? Because I was telling people that Keith Thurman got crazy power, and I was like, yeah, he was hurting Pacquiao a little bit. They were like, nah, nah. I'm like, yes, he
They
was,
don't know
bro. Like
boxing, bro. They don't know boxing. Just that's what it is.
they
Because
were like, oh,
Andre
Manny's a nice guy. Like he was saying,
don't care. Andre
Thurman's
Berto
power is
did the
dope.
interview. Andre Berto did an interview, and he said that Pacquiao had to take some time off because that boy Keith was hurting him, and like it didn't really show immediately, but that fight took a toll on him. Pacquiao's
I
he's
bet
got 70
Manny was
fights.
doing
He's
veteran
never
shit. Like
fought.
he was like hitting his head and pumping
Yeah,
himself up, but
he
you
was
could
hurt.
tell that shit didn't feel good. I'm sure.
Keith got cracks, bro. He was hurt. You better not duck me, son. Yeah, he was
Nah,
definitely.
you better duck them punches.
What hurt Keith Thurman is he was doing real good, but then he got hurt to the body late when he was like mounting a rally, and then that kind of like Pacquiao won the early rounds, had the knockdown. Plus, you got hurt again. It's kind of like Broner. Broner
That
started doing
fight,
good versus Maidana in the second half of the fight, but then Maidana hurt him again in round 8 or whatever, and
didn't
that
he
kind of
drop
messed
him
up.
a second time?
Yeah, that messed up his momentum. But he was starting to form some momentum on Maidana. But it's boxing. It happens.
Yeah.
Last message for the fans. Where can they follow you?
Y'all can hit me up at I see the one on all my social media, Twitter, Instagram. I don't have a PlayStation right now, but PSN. If y'all want to friend me on there, I got the app. So if y'all want to message me, whatever, friend me on there. I got you. When I get a new console, whether it be a 4 or 5, we can play some games and stuff together. I got some stuff coming up. As soon as these fights come back in LA, I'm gonna start posting a whole lot more footage.
Let's
Um,
do it.
Icy's gonna have some amateur fights ready for y'all. Yeah, y'all. Some of y'all think I just be talking boxing, but I fight too, and y'all gonna see.
Let's
I'm
get it.
excited, bro.
Yeah, man. I'll be in touch with you. Well, there's a lot going on. We're gonna close the year solid and very strong. Like I said, I want the best for these fighters. Terence Crawford, hell of a fighter. Kell Brook, if he's at his best, it's an intriguing fight. The only thing is, for me, I don't know where Kell Brook is at like that because he hasn't fought him. He hasn't fought. No, name the last time he fought an elite name, Spence, and that was in 2017.
2017.
And then before that, I guess you could say Golovkin or Porter. That's 2017, 16, 2014. That's a while ago, bro. Think about how much would change if when Kell Brook, imagine if he had a brand new baby in 2014. You have a newborn in 2014, your baby would be 6, 7 years old right now. You see what I'm saying? That's a good amount of time. So, and
Think he fought fucking Sean Porter before I started boxing, bro.
yeah,
Like,
and then a lot's changed since then, since the Sean Porter. Your eyes, both of them got damaged one at a time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
moved up in weight.
we'll have to see. And the boxing just needs to get it right. Like, to me, what would have made more sense? Crawford's already up here. He fought Amir Khan after Canelo and Danny Garcia and British Prescott knocked him out, and then he's about to fight Kell Brook. These two motherfuckers, Kell Brook and Khan, should have fought. They both signed to Eddie Hearn. They should have fought.
Did you hear Amir Khan said Brook ducked him or some shit like that?
But they should have fought instead of either one of them fighting Crawford, because to me that was a domestic rivalry and there was kind of similar points in their career. They had both lost, both been stopped. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, every once in a while the UK has some like a dope domestic rivalry fight, like Fowler versus Fitzgerald was fucking sick. Yeah, that too. So I don't know. They dropped the ball heavy on that one.
Somebody don't want it. That's what that means. I'll let y'all decide that. But that's our time. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you, Icy.
For sure.
We'll
See everybody. Subscribe.
Tell them. We out. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.